P at that ground, man, because that footage really.
Hello and welcome to Paxton Road TV. I am Spurs for Life, and this is your Paxton Road TV reaction show for the game that has just finished. Tottenham versus Chelsea. Or should I say Chelsea versus Tottenham? The score 2-2. And in the background, we've got a lot of breathing, heavy breathing. I'm joined in the house by Sid Spurs and Darius 3K. Wow, what an emotional roller coaster that was today, eh? Before we start, make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. Like the stream. You can see there's a lot of heavy breathing. I've got a tiny little.
I'm still high off emotions.
My head's roasting. It's absolutely. I thought I was done at one point, but then. Whew. So 2-2. Sid, how was that for you,
Mate? I've got an ice bottle of water here. And I swear down, man, I've had to put it on my head.
Can you like virtually pass that through the screen for me? Sid?
You know that, innit? I'm telling you, man, this ice, baby, is cooling me down. But wow, do you know what? There's a lot of positives. There's a hell of a lot of negatives, and we'll go into that.
True, very, very true. Darius, welcome to the stream. We were both watching the game together. Oh, bloody hell. We had a lot to say. What's your thoughts on initially of the game before we get into the stream?
That was probably tactically the most intense game I've watched in a long time, and just fascinating to watch from that sort of side of it. So if you're a neutral, I'm guessing you had a lot of fun. And then add on to the fact that I'm a Spurs fan and we haven't won at Chelsea, and I would have taken a draw, and I did predict 2-2. So the fact that it's all come out like that, I mean, I still don't even know if Harry Kane's goal is Harry Kane's or Reece James.
It's Kane's.
I don't even know what the goal looked like, because I ran out of the room and I didn't come back in until the whistle went. I can't even tell you about the second goal because I don't actually remember, or I didn't actually see it. So I think that explains everything. I mean, I'll be real with you lot, like, and I'll just say it from my opinion, and people can have their own opinions. That's a fucking brilliant result. And sorry to swear, but that's an amazing result. To go to the bridge and be down twice and show that sort of mentality and character, and for Conte to make the right substitutions, maybe a little bit late, which we can talk about, but for him to make the right substitutions, get a goal, and to us then, you know, still show towards the end of the game, the 95th minute, that we still have the chances and the quality to score a goal. That's all I can ask for. So I'm over the moon. And the only one other thing I want to point out is the fact that we've got Perisic taking corners with his left and right foot from both sides. We wouldn't have had a second goal if that wasn't a thing. Very little things like that is why you have to be grateful for players like him. And he starts now. Sorry, Sessegnon, you played one good game against Southampton, but you're done for me. So yeah, I'm absolutely buzzing. It feels like a win. We could have got a win maybe, but I'm still taking a point at the bridge. I'm sorry, any of you lot who don't take a point at the bridge, you're crazy.
Listen, we have to look at our record at the bridge. And when we did the preview show, we always like, oh my god, 60 games played, you know, one win away at Stamford Bridge. Obviously, we've won 7 times in total against Chelsea, 1 away win. So it was always going to be an uphill task, regardless. And Sid made a good point. Doesn't matter how you go into this with form. We've seen last season, we played 4 games against Chelsea and lost all 4 of them.
Did we score a goal?
No.
We scored 1 in 5, I think.
And that wasn't even I, wasn't it? Wasn't it Rudiger? I scored that own goal.
Yeah,
exactly.
So let's start with the positives. The manager showed the real passion. That's what I want to see. I don't care about anybody else. I want to see our manager do that. And then the other managers, and the same for Tuchel, both very passionate managers, but you want to see that it got everybody up. It got the crowd up. It got the players up. We could see, that last few minutes of the game was about passion and commitment. We got a corner and we got a goal from it. So the old saying is, you can't win it, do not lose it. And I think, we got to that point in the 95th minute. We've seen it last season. We can score goals. So when we got that corner, we have to think there's always an opportunity. We got a point out of it. I believe that Conte was tactically outdone today by Tuchel. I'm not ashamed to say that. I looked at what Tuchel did, and he had the ability to change it from a back three to a back four at any given point. If they score first, they can play more defensively. We've Loftus-Cheek going to right back, or right wing back, should I say, and Reece James coming in. Then when we got the goal back, they switched up again. Reece James then went as the wing back and then, pushed him up. Very, very good tactically. Darius, talk to me about, the players themselves. We didn't really have a load of standout performances, but when you get a result in the 96th minute, you have to kind of be happy and ecstatic like what we were. But if a cold light of day, who performed and who didn't today?
When I go through the whole 11 and I think about, everyone that played, it sounds like a broken record and I sound like, I keep saying the same person. But again, for me, Romero not being in that defense, we wouldn't have even probably had a look in this game because the other two centre-backs today were awful. So, and the front two, again, Son and Kane, I mean, we're talking about positive, so let's stay on the positive side of things. Romero, for me, was again, by far our best player on the pitch, and he was incredible. Hotspur, I think, deserves a lot of credit as well. I think Hotspur, wow, maybe not the prettiest footballer, got an amazing goal to get us back in the game and was, in and around everywhere, working harder than Bentancur was and really, put in a good performance for the 90 minutes. So Romero for me and Hotspur, and then obviously the substitutions that came on, I mean, Perisic, it's small, but what he did is so big, if you know what I mean. Just him taking corners from both sides, putting quality balls in. I mean, he put 3 crosses in, I think, in a row that were all dangerous crosses. I mean, I think Davis headed the first one, or, I think it came off Davis's head and Mendy saved it. Then the second one came in, was a bit of a tricky one as well. Basuma then volleyed it. We got a third corner, and that's the one that we scored from. And if you don't have, somebody with the quality of Perisic to put a ball in the box like that, you don't get those opportunities. So he deserves, again, while only being on the pitch, 30, maybe 25 minutes, he deserves a massive amount of credit. And unfortunately, it's that important to me to take those chances that he has to start if he's fit in the next game against Wolves. So, yeah, it feels like we keep repeating ourselves. But Romero, oh my gosh, I know he was, being a bit of a bastard and getting involved, and he maybe made a couple of mistakes and it looked a bit difficult, but I don't really see how he put a foot wrong. It wasn't really Romero's fault that we were getting caught out. He was normally saving us, and he dealt with Cucurella, who was cooking Emerson Royale, cooking him alive on that right-hand side. So, yeah, I think Romero has to be my man of the match for me. And on Chelsea's side, probably Reece James, even though it might be his own goal that that got us the point in the end. So, yeah, Romero, definitely man of the match.
Sid, talk about the front three. I know you've got some thoughts on the front three today. They were pretty anonymous for most of the game, but when you got your main man, Harry Kane, pops up with ultimately feels like a winner. I know it's not a winner, but it feels like a winner in the 96 minutes. It kind of takes away a lot of takes away a lot of the dullness of the performance, but talk to me about the performance of the team in general, but particularly the front three.
Listen, before I go any further, right? There's this film, and I keep going back to this film time and time again, and a quote from that film. I don't know if you've seen it or not. Cool Runnings. Yeah. And let me just say something. What do you see? I see pride. I see power. I see a badass manager that takes no crap of nobody. That is my manager, mate. That today showed the world our manager. Passion. Absolute passion. That guy has got so much passion in him. and he needs to instill that into every one of our players. So that's that on that. But front three for me, I think Kane, very quiet game. I know he got ruffled by Reece James, and I think what you said, Sam, Tuchel got it spot on in terms of tactics. He got him because Reece James had a job, and I think he was told whenever Kane or Son drops to that position, you go and hackle, and he had him on point.
You know what? That's so true. He wasn't even playing centre back, was he?
No,
he was just running up and down the line, waiting for somebody to get the ball.
He
wasn't even playing anywhere.
So what Reece James was doing, he wasn't the centre back, but he was a player that could come out of the centre back because Thiago and Koulibaly stayed in there, and what's his name? Loftus-Cheek became the wing back. But then when we scored a goal, that's when it changed. He then went to wing back. And like I said, Tuchel got. I think both of them were very passionate. Sorry, Sid, continue.
Yeah. So what do you call it? Yeah. So he kept them at bay, both of them, right? Okay, Kane was dropping deep a lot of times, but obviously we had to get stuff done, and he was trying his hardest. I personally at the beginning didn't think he looked that fit enough, and it just looked a bit sluggish and that. But you've got to give credit to Chelsea the way they were playing. Son for me today, I think, is one of the worst performances I have seen Son play.
He wasn't good.
You know, we've been slagging Lucas off for the ball coming off him time and time again. Today, nothing. Everything he did, it just didn't work. His passing was poor. His tracking back was poor. His defensive positioning was poor. That cross by Reece James in that second half, that pinpoint cross, Son just ran alongside him and then put his foot out. I know his job is to go forward as well, but when it comes to defending, he needs to put a little bit more effort in. He just was not at the races, and I think on our group we was crying out for him to be taken off at half time. And when he did actually get taken off, I think the man that replaced him, right, was the game changer. He came on and he did everything and more that Son didn't do in that game. Richarlison was giving him grief. He was running down the wings. He was giving everything. Shithousery is what we call it, right? He gave Chelsea, in the half an hour he played, more hassle and more headaches than Son did in the whole time he played. And Kulusevski, as much as he's a top player, he goes down too easily, but like Bambi. He that second goal they scored, he went down too easily. And the problem with him as well is when he goes down, he moans too much. Yeah, he just get on with it and wait for the whistle. And that led to the second goal. So them three, it was hit and miss. But you know what? Like you said, we've gone there. We've managed to get a point. Previous season, we would not have got a point at Stamford Bridge.
Not to come back twice. We went down twice. And that's what I think. Going down once, coming back 1-1, I would have said. When we go 2-1 down,
as well.
I didn't see that.
You see Tuchel running down the line like Jose Mourinho, and I normally that would rattle us, and we would be 3-1, 4-1 to Chelsea. So yeah,
exactly. And then the final thing, I've heard of people swapping shirts, and I've heard of people, you know, we've got a player, our central defender, that takes players out, takes limbs. Now he's going for hair. My God, man! Now he's taking people's hair. You know what I'm saying? That is my defender. You know. But what a roller coaster, man! What an absolute roller coaster.
Darius, talk to me about the impacts of the substitutions. Richarlison, as Sid said, is one of the first ones. I think that set the tone, as Sid said. He brought the energy. We lacked energy. We just lacked that. You know, we've all talked about the mentality. We talked about Chelsea, you know, the bridge hoodoo, whatever, but it's a mentality thing. It's clearly to see it's a mentality thing. So to get this result today, for me, shows, right, this is where Conte wants. He said, if you can't win it, don't lose it. He knows Chelsea are a quality team. I probably got a little bit ahead of myself in terms of thinking that we were going to steamroller them. I said 3-1 in the preview show. But if you look at the game, we had some chances. That 1v1 that Kane had should have put it away. Son had a couple of chances. He was knocked over the top. Cess again had a big one. Yeah, he had a massive chance. It's like, if you put them away like we did against Southampton, the game's completely different because Chelsea have to play differently. If you're on top in the game with the home fans, it's Spurs, you know you're going to stick with it. But once you start undermining the system that Tuchel put in, then you can get at them. But what I said, I think it was a real tactical masterclass from Tuchel today. But the impact of the players that came on, talk to me about those guys.
I mean, again, it's it's a little bit obvious, and like, do you know what I mean? Again, my manager, I'll speak on Conte just afterwards, but in terms of the substitutions, he made the right ones, unfortunately. Like, as much as people may want to get onto Conte, you know, for the tactical setup of the team, you know, starting the game and starting lineup and not making, you know, change at halftime, when he made the substitutions, it worked. And, you know, Richarlison coming on at 55, I think it was, gave him more than enough time to impact the game. I then believe it was it then Son and Son and Bentancur, Son and Basuma then on for obviously Bentancur, and Perisic also came on for Emerson for a few other, I can't even remember the players, all the sub. But basically, Lucas had an impact, you know, in the box, won his headers. Perisic took the corners, had an impact. Basuma, if you actually look at what Basuma did in a short space of time, he lost the ball, but was the first person in the box to actually win the ball back when Chelsea were on the attack.
Yes.
And he stopped, you know, not many, but a couple of attacks. If he wasn't on the pitch, I don't know if Bentancur was going to do. So all the players had an impact. I think the only criticism you can maybe make of Conte, in my opinion, because I love the guy. Like you said, Sid, watching what he was doing with Tuchel and all of them, because that's his old club. Don't forget, he won the league and the FA Cup with that club. Not 5 years ago, and he don't give a toss anymore. He don't care. He was giving Azpilicueta the finger like that, and that was his old boy, and he was giving Azpilicueta the finger. He did not care, and that's what I want to see. And you know what? That gave all of the other players on the pitch the feeling of, well, my manager's backing me like that. Well, I have to go and do the same thing now. And they showed it. And Conte, I think, will be disappointed that we didn't win, because, like you said, Sam, there were chances in the game to take opportunities. You know, maybe bringing on Basuma a bit earlier, we might have been able to close off the game and get a third or a second before they scored theirs. However, I think when he looks back at the game, the emotions, you know, the fact that they took the lead twice, the fact that Tuchel did kind of, you know, do him again for the second time now, I think he will look back at this and say, point at the bridge, I'll take that.
Oh, it's a massive point.
It's going to take a lot. For me, it seems like now, if we show that mentality against Chelsea, there's no excuse to not show that mentality against any other team if we go down, you know, in the score. If we go 1-0 down, I expect to see that mentality now for the whole, you know, season, the whole league. There's no club
if you think
there's
about
really much despise apart from Arsenal that you should, apart from Chelsea.
We've been down in both the games we played. The opening game of the season, obviously, against Southampton, we go 1-0 down. We come back and win the game 4-1. We go down twice today, 1-0 and 2-1. Do you know? So that shows it got to be a sea change. I know it was in the 95th minute, and people can say 96th minute. I know people can say we're lucky, but were we lucky to do it 3 times last season?
No.
It's not luck. It's getting into the positions. You put the pressure on, you apply the pressure, you get the corner. Remember, we had a corner before that, didn't work out. So we do the same thing again, another corner. Harry Kane, as I said, pops up with that header. It was probably still going in anyway, but Reece James, thank you very much, son. You had a great game today, but you just made sure it was going in for us. So that was great. But what I think...
I think it has gone down as Harry Kane's goal, by the way.
He has, yeah.
I think it has gone down as Harry Kane's goal.
You know, the biggest thing, and we've said this, and we'll keep mentioning this, the fact that he can look at his bench now and bring on game changers.
100.
You know what I mean? Because if them three weren't on, or we hadn't bought them, Conte wouldn't have been bringing that on, and we would have lost that game quite convincingly. But the fact that he can look at his bench and he can bring them 3 players on to change a game, and today has proved it, that he can now look at the bench and think, you know what, them 3, can I bring them on? Can they change the game? Fucking right they can.
Can I ask you, Sid says, Mr. Transfer Man, a question?
Go on.
Do you still think, because I want to hear what you think, and you as well, Sam, do you still think after that performance that an attacking midfielder is the priority, or if there was only one more transfer you can make, is it centre back that's the priority?
Centre back, man. Today's just proved we need a centre back.
100% centre back.
100%.
I still think we did lack a little bit of creativity when Kane is not in the game.
Yes.
Just looking at the performance of Dyer was just like,
that was awful. Again, I said awful. Dyer wasn't very good. He was being pulled out of position. That's, again, the tactics have to be looked at from Tuchel. Why certain players look worse than they were? Because tactically, some players couldn't adapt. In the midfield, Bentancur and Hotspur look awful, but they're not awful players. We know that. But what Tuchel did is he had the box in the middle. He had Jorginho, Kante, Jorginho Kante, what's his name? Loftus-Cheek, and then sometimes Reece
Mount
James
as
would
well.
come in there,
Yeah,
and then
Mount
Mount
as well.
would come in there. So Havertz would sometimes drop. So at some points you had six players in the middle of the park against 2, and then if you bring Harry Kane back against 3, you're never gonna control a game if you don't have the possession. Chelsea had 60-odd possession. We'll get to some of the stats in a minute. So again, if you're going to control the control the game without possession, you need to be very good on your counter-attack. Tuchel nullified the counter-attack. So every time we got the ball, bam, 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 players were on it. Didn't give us no time. 2 players got to Kulusevski all time. So Cucurella was on him. You might see is it Koulibaly on that side or was it Thiago? One of them would always come across, and then the midfielders. So Kulusevski sometimes had 2 or 3 players to try and get round. They knew he was a danger man. Same with Kane. Reece James was assigned. As long as Kane goes into that middle, you follow him. And if nobody else does it, Jorginho, you pick. So every time Kane came into the middle, he couldn't turn. Son, as I said, Son looked like Lucas Moura today. He looked like a Korean Lucas Moura. No word of a lie. Balls bouncing off his shins and everything.
So should he get dropped for Richarlison next game?
I don't know about dropped, but what I would say is I think you can make substitutions earlier. I think he could have come off at halftime. I really think there was 2 players, Sessegnon and Son. But then you look at Son as being the goal scorer he was last year. They don't take Kane off when he has poor games. So why should Son come off? Because he's our match winner as well. So it's a difficult one. But
I love what Bangkok says here. Sorry, Sam. I love what Bangkok says here. Just I wanted to bring it up to you guys as well. He just mentions a 3-5-2. We started with 3-5-2. You know, if Bissouma started this game and you maybe risk not playing Kulusevski,
I know
we wouldn't have had the creativity, but we wouldn't have got done in the middle like that. And I think at the bridge, you just have to sort of hold out and then you can make your adjustments like he did later on in the game. Because I think Kulusevski coming off the bench today would have been incredible as opposed to him starting, if you know what I mean. And that's not a slight on his character. It's not a slight on his performance last game because he was the best player for us last game. But in terms of, you know, the way that Chelsea are going to play this game, and like you said, the energy levels of Chelsea dropped at about 60-65, maybe even earlier, to be fair. Kulusevski coming on then, I think, would have had more of an impact. And I think Bissouma should have started ahead of him. So I think Bangkok makes a really good point just about the 3-5-2. I think we need to see that. Maybe he's waiting on that attacking midfielder. I don't know, but it would have helped a lot. Like, he's 6 players in the middle. That's just crazy.
Today you could have been, because away from home against Chelsea, I think you have to be a little bit more defensive. Really, you have to be aggressive, but you have to be defensive as well. I don't think we had enough bodies in that middle to be aggressive and defensive. So if you play a 3-5-2, you don't necessarily have to have a creator in there. Bissouma at the base of it, Bentancur and Hojbjerg in front is a solid midfield because they've all got the ability to move around the pitch because you can see the fitness levels that they're half decent. The players all look a bit thin in the face. And then you said you can have your 2 main players up front, Son and Kane. So Kane can do his thing. Son can always be the outlet to go forward. And then if that doesn't work, then you can take off a midfielder. Then you can maybe take off a defender to go to a 4-3-3 or a 4-4-2 because you can change your shape. But what Conte has is this, almost as you were saying, a pride thing is, it's my system. I don't care. It's my system, not 3-4. And it wasn't working. It just wasn't working in the way that we were playing because Chelsea nullified it and they were aggressive and they made sure that when they had the ball, they controlled it. Who would you start in the next game, Sid?
In which positions? In every position or in just?
Yeah, starting 11. If you think there was some players there that shouldn't start in the next game, who would maybe come out of the team to let some of the others start?
Well, we got Wolves next week, haven't we? So Langley has to come in at some point. He's got to start next week.
He's out for
I think he's injured.
He's injured. Right.
Yeah.
So now we've been linked with Kilman and people like that, which I don't understand. Yeah. So
Kilman's a good signing, though. If Ben Davies is going to play like Ben Davies was last season, I would be like, I'd agree with you, Sid. Like, I'd be like, we don't need another left centre back, a young one.
Yeah.
If Dyer and Davis do this again on the same day, it could get difficult. So, 2 centre backs maybe might be the way.
We might get one statement one and one as a backup, but then we got Langley, so it's going to be an interesting next 15 days. But
now, all I was going to say, Sid, before what we can't have is, you just said, we can't have Davies and Dyer both having poor games at the same time. I think Davies got away with a little bit more, but the second goal to Chelsea, I think it was more Dyer because Dyer followed him in, and then Davies was left 1v1 on the back. It was
unfortunate.
They were exposed because that change of system to go to the 4 meant that we were always going to have less numbers in there. And then, like I said, on the other side of the pitch, what happened was Romero was pulling over, Dyer was pulling over, and then it was left with Ben Davies as the lone left back at the time. Yeah, it was a really eventful and really intriguing game for me from that tactical point of view.
Yeah, I agree.
But again, going back to that starting 11, Perisic for me, I think has to start. We can't have both wing backs not performing.
Yeah, I agree.
Too detrimental.
I think Perisic will start against Wolves on the left. I think Richarlison will start as well. Whether I think he will, because you know what it is? Kulu does really well, right? But today just proved when he's out of the game, he just can't get back into it. And today he just could not get into that game at all.
Son was the same.
And Son was the same.
You didn't get into it at all.
No,
for me.
But I think one of them two, and if the likelihood is like what you're saying, Sam, I'd rather start with Son because Son is allowed to have one bad game, right? And this could be his one bad game because he will now go home and his dad will probably lock him in his room and say to him, right, you're not coming out now because today you was awful. Take that modelling gear off that you've been modelling this week because that has affected you. You're not Dele Alli, right? So get that out of your head. And this is your one and only bad performance you're going to have. So I think Conte will start with Son. I think he'll drop Kulu, bring on Richarlison because Kulu coming off the bench will have a bigger impact for me, like what you're saying. Bring him on second half or 65, 70 minutes against a team that's sort of been ragged already, and Kulu can do bits. Richarlison can destroy them for the first 60, 70 minutes because he'll do that. So I think Perisic and Richarlison and Bissouma will start on next week.
I agree.
And Højbjerg can't be dropped, so it might be Bentancur who gets dropped.
But I think they have to either, because Wolves are going to watch that game, and Wolves remember Wolves did us last season as well at home, so we have to remember that Wolves know what they're doing against us. Bruno Lage was the manager then, and he's the manager now, so I think that they're going to have a bit of a tactical. But the Wolves are not playing very well at the moment, so off the back of last season, they're really tailed off. They're leaking goals as well.
No Cody,
Cody's out of the team, but Cody was lacking a bit of pace anyway, so they're having to change how they play. I think Wolves will take care of itself, but I want to see a home game with definitely Perisic starting on that. We can't have Sessegnon and Emerson playing and not performing. I know they did well last week, and probably to a degree, Emerson was the better of the two today because he was at least defensively more solid. But when you see that cross that Reece James put in for Havertz, when you missed it, you think to yourself, why haven't we got that? We don't have that. Unless
that was a perfect cross, wasn't it?
What a cross! What a cross!
I was just, I remember when me and Sam we were like, wow.
Mike, hold on. Mike said, no, Mike, I'm sorry.
I'm not agreeing with that, Mike.
I don't agree with that either. No, I think he's on about the top, the pony top in the 890s.
About that.
Yeah,
I don't know what game you was watching.
This guy, you know what? He's got a new one to take the pee out of.
He's got his dirty agendas seeping through to Richarlison now.
No more Calvin Klein for Son. Plus those picks were just shop at Primark, Mr. Son. Yeah, I agree. Them. I don't want to see that. I don't want to see Son doing any sort of modelling in briefs. No, just do your thing on the pitch, my friend. Do your thing.
The female fans will prefer that.
Let's have a look at some of the what's it called? The stats. I forgot the word I was trying to talk about just then. The stats. Okay. So 2-2. 64% possession to Chelsea, 36% to Spurs, 16 shots to 10. That was quite high to Chelsea in the very beginning of the game. We didn't have many shots, but then we seem to have come back in the game. 3 shots on target to our 5. So that says a lot.
50%, not bad.
The game was looking like it was very controlled by Chelsea, but if you look at the shots on target, I know they came probably late in the game, but we had 5 to their 3. Corners, 8 to them, 5 to us, 9 fouls each. It was definitely a battle of the bridge, that one. Let's have a quick look at the table. Early days still. But we'll take that. You'll take 4 points after 2 games, being in the top 4. Manchester City, there's only 2 teams apart. Well, Liverpool, no. So only 2 teams maximum points, and that's the only 2 teams that can get maximum points. So it's looking like it's going to be a tough season.
Liverpool can still get maximum points now.
No, they can't.
No, they drew their first game. They drew Fulham, didn't they?
Oh, they drew, didn't they? Yeah. Sorry, yeah. I agree.
They have Crystal Palace as well, to be fair. So
Palace lost. Yeah,
they lost. So so it looks like the season's already taken off. A lot of people haven't got the point, so it's going to be you can't lose games. There might be a lot of draws this season, I think, and we didn't draw that many games last season, if I'm right. Did we draw a lot of games? Or was it? I can't remember.
No, not really. No, it wasn't that many draws. I think, to be fair with you, as much as I don't want to admit this, might need to be a bit more worried about them neighbours across the road. Might need to be. I'm not trying to say anything, but just after this Chelsea game, as much as I do feel like this game will have kickstart Chelsea's season, I do also believe that, like, the way that Tuchel played in this system, will it work for every other team in the league, or is it just sort of like a game plan for Spurs? I'm not too sure. If Reece James at centre back and Ruben Loftus-Cheek at right wing back is going to be like the next.
That was just Spurs. That was just
specific. It was specific for Spurs. So I don't know how Chelsea are going to perform for the rest of the season. So I'm still sort of like, they were really good today, but they were really good because it was against us. However, Arsenal looked like they could put free past a lot of teams. So it's going to be interesting to see. I mean, United, I'm not even worried about United. I mean, I'm more worried about Nottingham Forest. I'm more worried about West Ham United than Manchester United, to be fair with you. So I think it's United. Just
even Leeds United and their pants.
So it's gonna be an interesting season. And the reason why I'm so happy about this point is because now it seems to me like we can beat the majority of the teams in this league, and now picking up these points against the teams that we are close to is going to be so important. So I will take a point at Stamford Bridge. I will say it again to everybody. The fact that we've won one in 67 games at Stamford Bridge.
One game in 30.
It's one game in 30. There you go. And we've taken a point from there after going down twice. I'm happy. I'm very, very happy. I'm very, very happy.
Again, when you score so late on in the game, it feels like a win. If it had played out into a 2-2 draw, I wouldn't have been disappointed with a point. Of course, you can't be disappointed with a point against Chelsea when you don't pick up many points there. But at the outset, I was disappointed with the style the approach that we had in terms of, Jose Mourinho changes things very quickly. Conte doesn't. He doesn't seem to change things very quickly. And that sometimes can be a good thing. It can be a bad thing. You can obviously let the players know, I trust you. Can you do better in that second half for me? But sometimes I looked at that very early and said, the tactics, we're going to have to do something tactically or get these players a little bit more aggressive. I think two things happened. We got players on that became a little bit more aggressive, and Richarlison started that for us. And we also, when it really mattered, Kane did pop up with that header. So those are good things. Those are good things for us. Sid, final thoughts then.
For once, we didn't bottle it. No, final thoughts. Do you know what? I'm not going to lie, and I wasn't convinced with the performance, to be fair.
No, he wasn't convinced.
We got away with, like you said, a result. The fact that we went down twice and we come back, and to do it late as well, was a good fight back kind of thing. But let's not gloss over all the cracks, because there was a hell of a lot of cracks. Possession-wise, second balls. I think that's put it on the group. If there was a third team playing, we would have been fourth to that ball every single time. It was just so slow in trying to get that ball back. Fluidity wasn't there. Passing wasn't right. I think it was just tactically, you're right. Tuchel got us one over Conte, but I think the players need to realise that as well, because at one point I thought, here we go, same old Spurs. But at the end of the day, we haven't lost, which is the main thing, because if we had lost today, then that might have had a little bit of an effect going forward, and the Spurs fan would have gone into meltdown like they normally do. Yeah. So it's a point gained at Stamford Bridge. Yes, they'll be crying. I don't give a shit about them, to be fair. They can do what they want. You know what I mean? They can still cry about that foul that Bentancur never did, because he won the ball all day long. If they still rewind it and play it in slow motion, forget slow motion. Just play it in normal. You'll see he kicks the ball and the trajectory of that ball moves. So where they were getting a foul from, I haven't got a clue. But
the thing is, though, Sid, when I first saw it, to be fair, I thought it was a foul. It was only when they did the slow motion and you saw it got. It's like, ooh, that's not the one they're going to cancel it for. But then there was something else that was going on. But I just didn't care. All I saw was the passion from them when they all got together. It's like squaring up. I said, that's what you want to see. This is a London derby, for God's sake, against Chelsea, who we never beat.
And it gets the players up, doesn't it?
Gets the players up. When Hazard scored that goal to make it 2-2 that effectively put us out of the title race, they were over. This is what I'm saying. To do that to them today, that's giving us more than just the result. I know it's only a point, but it gives us the mentality. Because now, had we lost that game 2-1, having been down, come back, and then been down again, as you said, Sid, I think it would have taken more out of the players, certainly, than it should have done, because we didn't play well. But now, we didn't play well, and we didn't lose at the Bridge, and we went 2 goals. We went down twice in terms of being behind twice. Good signs in that, better signs in terms of who we need to possibly start, but we need to have some more adaptability. The adaptability 100%. Was a little bit weak for me until he went to that back 4. And then he should have maybe gone back again, but he didn't. It was like, oh, come on. But anyway, who am I? Yeah. Conte's won more Scudettas than me, so I can't talk that much. And Darius, final thoughts.
I predicted 2-2.
Yes, you did.
I predicted 2-2 because I knew that we would go for it, but Chelsea would turn up. Because Chelsea, no matter the day, weather, time, hour, whatever, they could be 20th place, confirmed relegation by Christmas, and they would still turn up for a game against us. So I think while it may be small steps, it's steps forward. We didn't lose to them, and we scored 2 goals against them, and we came back twice in the game against Chelsea. That is positive. And now every game going on against Chelsea for the rest of this season, because I think we might see them twice, maybe 3 times. You never know what could happen in this season. I think we're guaranteed to see him again at the Lane. And then again, I think we'll see him in one of the cups. Every single game is going to be dicey now.
Champions League. You never know.
Maybe even the Champions League if you get deep as well. So I'm so excited now. It's kind of kickstarted Chelsea season, but it's also given me a lot of hope to know that these players are mentally at it this season, and that above all is a good sign. So positives to take from this game. As much as there are negatives, there are a lot of positives to take from this game.
You have to take the positives. There's plenty of things we can really go into, as we talked about already, that are the negative. And like you rightly said, Sid, we could have gone into meltdown had we lost this game, and it's like same old Spurs. It was going off on the WhatsApp group, to be fair.
Exactly.
But
I had it on mute. I couldn't even. I'm sorry.
I didn't want to do that because I knew that it was going to be. Well, we have to wait to the end of the game. We've seen last season how many goals we scored late, and we were only one goal down. Had it been 2-0, yeah, we'd have probably packed up and said, let's go. But it was 2-1. Even in a 90-odd minute, you've got to have hope. And this is what Conte is trying to instill in the players. If you're in the game, there's that 1% chance. Got to have it. So, fair enough. And what was you going to say, Darius, on that point?
No, I just wanted to say, to be fair, I just think that we need to just take these results. And as Sis said, we need to not let players bad performance get taken for granted, if you know what I mean. Yeah. Like, sort of don't let them get away with bad performances regardless of the player, because if Romero can put in a good performance every single game, nobody can't. And I know he has different jobs and different roles, but Son and Kane today, as much as Kane got the goal and did what he needed to do, don't get me wrong, he did exactly what he needed to do, he still didn't impact the game. Son didn't do anything. So
yeah,
you need to look at the subs and look at who impacts the game. And like we said, I think we're not going to see that 11 for a while now, maybe even ever again, especially with like the likes of Spence weren't even on the bench. So
yeah, this is it.
Yeah, this, and I think there's still 2 more signings as well to make. So
I believe that as well.
Positives, man. I think it's positive.
Yeah, 100%. There's definitely 2 more, because he will have looked at that today as well. And I think, I still think Zaniolo's going to happen. I still think, whatever reason, Zaniolo will happen. And I think the centre-back is a massive issue.
Got to get a centre. I've seen now. Yeah. I think Mike has said it a long time. You said it for a long time. But it's confirmed we have to get a centre-back in now.
And
a top quality one.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, the most important thing is, them 11 players that finished that game and the players that were on the bench, to see your manager that passionate and that, you know, now, if that doesn't do anything to you to wear that shirt with pride, then you do not need to be at that club, because Conte has doing it from the top. He's showing you from the top. This is I'm all in. Yeah, I'm all in. No excuses. If I can give this much on the touchline, you better fucking give this on the pitch. You know what I'm saying?
I agree. I agree so much, Sid. Yeah. Can't wait for next game. Oh my gosh, I'm so happy. I'm gonna jump on a bunch of Twitter spaces now and run my mouth because I deserve to. Because I got that fucking prediction right. Exactly.
That's a good prediction, man. That's good prediction.
I'm happy with that. I got 3 this weekend, to be fair with you, so I'm very happy with that.
So Bangkok 69 saying, not interested in Zaniolo. Centre back is priority 1. Centre back was priority 1 at the start of the window, and we're still waiting. Well, we did get in Longley. He wasn't available today. Whether or not he's a centre back, would that have made a difference in terms of Ben Davies and Dyer and Longley? I don't know. We don't know until the player plays. I think we'd probably have a bit more control in the game because Longley's probably better on the ball, but they weren't very good today. We can't say there was many players that are really good today. I think the subs had the impact, and I think that's what changed the game for us, in my opinion.
I've got one final question for you both, right? Mm-hmm. Do you think Conte has a centre-back in mind, but he's not going to go and get any centre-back? Do you think he's holding out for that one world-class centre-back that he wants and he will go for and just wait for that one? Because I don't think he's just going to go and get any centre-back. I think he's waiting for that one centre-back that's going to change the dynamic of Tottenham Hotspur Football Club.
If you think about it, we have got 2 other centre-backs still at the club in terms of Sanchez and Yaphet Tanganga. And if worse came to worse as well, like you said, you could probably even get Højbjerg into that set. He's played centre-back. I'm saying that's the real desperation. We need a dedicated centre-back. Yeah, it's a worse come to worse. You're right. I don't want to see that personally. I really don't want to see that. But if you had to, we do need a centre-back because the drop-off between Dyer, in fact, to Tanganga, or even Dyer to Sanchez in that central position, that's a problem. That central position is a real problem. I think right and left of it, we can probably get away with it. But centrally, if Dyer isn't performing or he gets injured, we're done. At this moment in time, we are done because Sanchez can't play that role and Tanganga definitely can't play that role, in my opinion. So, unless Longley, I don't know.
I agree with Sid in the sense of like he's waiting for a centre back, but he's waiting for a left centre back in that role because I think the right centre back and the left centre back have more dedicated roles in our team. Where Romero's the aggressor, and then the left centre back is gonna sometimes fill in the midfield, potentially play the balls over the top, potentially even be like what Longley was doing, putting balls in the box. So I feel like a Bastoni, a Gvardiol is needed, but with the centre back, I think a lot of it comes down to, as you can see with Dyer, your organisation, distribution of the ball, and just general sort of just leadership. And I think while they are intangibles, you can find them in a lot more players than you can find like a ball progressing centre-back, left-footed left centre-back. Like that's very rare. Whereas, somebody who can spray a pass, who can, lead a line, who can potentially speak a couple languages isn't hard to find, as crazy as that sounds. For example, if it came to it next season, I would look at maybe even like Anderson from Crystal Palace because the performances that he put on, he's not the most amazing centre-back in the world, but protected by 2 centre-backs and 2 good midfielders. If he's spraying balls to Son like he was doing to, who is it, Zaha and Eze and the likes of those, I think he could do a job like that. So I don't think it's going to be hard to find a centre-back. I think it'll be harder to find the left centre-back, which is why we haven't got we haven't paid for anyone. We got Longley on loan. So I think we'll go and get just sort of not any centre-back, but I think we'll just get sort of a centre-back who can have the same and do the same things that Dyer does, just maybe hopefully at a better level and more consistently.
Yeah, I agree. Regardless, I think we do need to have that player, whether it's a left-sided one. We have got Longley, but he's like I said, he's not there for the long term. He's only there for the season. Yeah. I'd like to see him play. I would like to see him play just to see how much more control of the ball we have. Because Ben Davies, bless him, he's a good defender, but he's not a ball-playing defender. He can get himself into the box, but I wouldn't say he's the best attacking defender. I've seen Longley score some great headers. I've seen him do some good things with the ball. So I'm hopeful that he can be at least that left side. Dyer, if he goes on a wild one like he did today, he was chasing Mount all over the place. I'm just thinking, Dyer, stay central, stay there. But he was out of shot. So we do need somebody who's really going to be able to come in and take over that role if he's not playing or he's injured or whatever it is. So yeah, we'll just see. Last comment here then. Should we get Chilwell? No thanks.
No. We've got Udoji now, which
exactly.
I think is again underrated signing. Really underrated signing. Only, like I said, 19 years old. Only Perisic had more goal involvements than him in Serie A last season. So, and he's gonna go and play another year in Serie A. So we don't need any more left backs.
Yeah,
no. Though
he got left out today, didn't he? He's not.
Yeah, he's in London. He's in London signing contracts and doing medicals
right.
and that. But he'll go back on loan. So yeah. I don't think we Chilwell.
We don't need Chilwell now.
Chilwell got dropped for little Fellaini, who got his hair pulled back anyway. So I don't. Chilwell needs to focus on getting himself into his own team before he gets into our team.
But it's all good. It's all good. I tell you what, though, it's good. Conte's got a bit of spy skills going on at the moment. Apparently, at Stamford Bridge, he's telling Tuchel, "Who do you think you are?"
The only thing is, obviously, if he's got that red card, it's a free match ban. So
is it 3 or is it 1?
Well, he got the yellow, but I don't know if they gave him
for violent conduct. But was it violent?
They might have given him a straight red.
It's a straight red card. It's a straight red.
Yeah,
so he got a yellow though, didn't he, in the game?
He got yellow in the game, and then at the end, they both got straight reds. Now, normally it says...
Did they both get them?
Yeah, if Conte got it, then Tuchel would have got it. Because if what happened was, Conte went to shake his hand, Tuchel did not let go of his hand. Tuchel did not let go of his hand, and it was just like a bit of a,
look me in the eye. Like, hold on a second. Who the fuck do you think you are? Look me in the eye. And it kicked off from there. So I think it was a bit of a harsh, because I don't think Conte did anything wrong there. I don't think Conte did anything wrong.
Every single Chelsea game is going to be a madness now.
You know that, innit?
Yeah. They might have to appeal that one if that's the case, because it's the Wolves games he'll miss, and then what's the game after that? We're away to.
I think Fulham's the last one that he'll miss.
Yeah.
Okay, well it's not.
And then in between Wolves, I can't remember who we've got in between.
Who have we got for Wolves, right?
Nottingham Forest.
Forest, of course. They're coming here.
No, we're going there. Oh, yeah, they're coming to you.
Yeah, they're coming to us. They're coming to us.
They're coming to you. I forgot.
They already dealt with West Ham, so I'm a little bit shook. I mean, Forest did all right. So yeah, we'll worry about that when we get to it, though.
We have to take Sid. I'm getting on the mantra that
doing your thing, Sid.
One game at a time. That's
Absolutely.
all it is. I'm still saying I'm so very, very confident of having seen the result today and how we got out of jail in the 96th minute. That's my takeaway from today, is like, I can be happy with that. When we analyze and we look back and we go and we probably watch Match of the Day 2, and they go and say, they'll show us all the things that we're going to say, we do need to make some changes here. But we cannot knock this result. And I think you're right, Darius. 2-2 at the start. Stamford Bridge, one game, one in there in 30 years. Yeah, it was probably going to take that. So thank you very much for those who are watching. We had quite a few today. Colin, Turner, Jews Nuts, Kevin Murray, Michael Bennett, the Hustler was there as well. Hotspur TV, Eva Man. Who else was in there? Michael Bennett said, Christina Zandes, Sean Hurl, who must be coming out of the pub now, Dino Dinosaur as well. It's onwards and upwards.
And we got Jodi in half an hour as well coming up.
Yeah. Jodi's coming up very soon, so don't forget Judge Jodi's Player Racing Show. Let's see what she gives. It probably could have been a lot worse.
I'm interested now. I'm very interested to see what Jodi gives.
And the most important thing I want to see is who's in jail, because I know who's going to be in jail.
Yeah, I want Jodi to put her feelings aside for this one. Yeah,
and I want that person in jail without a top on. Naked. Put him in.
Modeling his Calvins again. Modeling his Calvins.
Justin boxes.
He's got to go in. He's got to go in.
Behind bars in his boxes. Anyway, gentlemen, I think we're like I said, we can be pleased with today. As I said, I would have loved to have gone to the bridge and battered those lot, but I really got to look back and think logically that was probably never going to happen, and it didn't happen. And the results. The results against Chelsea.
Support your CC team. You're allowed to get carried away, Sam. Okay.
Of course,
I'm here to bring the reason, and you guys can get carried away. You and Deji can do your thing because we need it. We need that energy. If Conte's going to bring it on the pitch, you got to bring it to Paxton Road. So carry on with your crazy predictions.
Listen. Can't do nothing. Both of you, at 2-1 in the 90th minute, was you thinking them lot are gonna be on it on the channel? They'll be gonna be waiting for us. I swear down, I was thinking they're gonna be coming for us.
100%.
You know what I mean?
I'd mentally prepared myself for a draw, to be fair. So like I was kind of happy with it.
I wasn't. When we were 2-1 down, I wasn't going mad. I went mad when Reece James scored because I saw
the
a
goal was
massive
horrible.
gap in there.
Yeah.
But I wasn't mad that we're 2-1 down. We're still in this game. I just thought that if we get an opportunity, we can take it because there was still spaces within that back line. I didn't know it was going to come from a set piece, but I'm glad it did actually, because that shows that at least now we're beginning to take set pieces with someone who can take a set piece in person.
From both corners.
I love this guy, the way he thinks, man. I love this Sean guy. I love it. The way we're 4 points up on last season. I love Sean, man.
Sure, man.
I love the positivity, man.
Definitely, 100%. Right then, gentlemen, I think that should about do it. Obviously, look out for Jodi coming up at 8 o'clock. Sid says will be on Friday. There'll be talking points on Monday. Prediction show, preview show. When do we play? Saturday.
Saturday, 12 o'clock kickoff.
12:30 kickoff.
12:30 kickoff. Yeah, 12:30 kickoff.
I've got very early training. There's a train strike, so it's going to be a bit one of them.
Yeah, might struggle. You might struggle to get a train on Saturday because I could not get a train on Saturday. So yeah, that might be a problem.
I might have to drive down on that one, but that's not a problem. So yes, the game against Wolves. So we're doing a preview show on Thursday. So look out for plenty of Paxton Road entertainment and exclusivities. And
everyone can have a shower now. You can all go have a shower now.
Man,
I know you're all sweating after that. Oh my God.
And look out for the Arsenal Slayer who'll be doing the preview show next week, Saturday. So yeah, all good. Sid, Darius, that is it. Time to go. Thank you very much. And we are